The Young and the Restless spoilers. The tension in the air was palpable as Nick and Faith stood frozen, staring at the bottle of poison Sharon had hidden. It was the moment of truth, the breaking point where everything finally became clear. Sharon, once a loving mother and partner, had spiraled out of control, her mind twisted by guilt, anger, and the manipulations of those around her. Her plan to poison Daniel had shaken Nick to his core, and as he held the bottle in his hands, he realized just how far Sharon had fallen. Nick's heart raced with fear, but it wasn't just for Sharon. It was for the entire family. Faith, standing by his side, looked to him for guidance, her eyes wide with disbelief. Mariah had warned them about Sharon's erratic behavior, but none of them had expected it to escalate to this level. Sharon had gone too far, and now there was no turning back. Nick knew what he had to do, even though it broke his heart. Sharon needed help, but not the kind of help that could be given by family alone. This had surpassed any intervention they could manage on their own. The only way to save her now was to stop her before she hurt someone else, or herself. With a heavy heart, Nick made the decision that no family member ever wants to make. He picked up the phone and called the police. The arrest, a painful choice. When the authorities arrived, it was clear that the situation was far more dire than anyone had realized. Sharon, her mind clouded by paranoia and guilt, refused to see reason. As the police officers approached, she lashed out, screaming in fury when she saw Nick standing there, his expression solemn but resolute. She knew immediately what had happened. "You did this!" Sharon screamed, her voice filled with venom. "You betrayed me, Nick. After everything I've done for this family, you call the police on me?" Nick's face was etched with pain, but he didn't back down. He knew this was the only way to save Sharon from herself. "I had to, Sharon. You're not thinking clearly. You're going to hurt someone if this doesn't stop." Sharon's eyes flashed with rage. "When I get out of here, I'm coming for you, Nick. You'll regret this. I'll make sure you pay." The words hit Nick hard, but he stood firm. He wasn't afraid of Sharon's threats. More than anything, he hoped that being arrested, being forced to confront her actions, would help Sharon find the clarity she so desperately needed. He couldn't bear to watch her destroy herself any further. As the officers placed Sharon in handcuffs, she continued to fight, screaming and cursing at Nick, Mariah, and Faith. It was a heartbreaking scene, one that left the family reeling. But despite the anguish, there was also a strange sense of relief. Sharon was no longer a danger to herself or others, and in the hands of the justice system, perhaps she would finally get the help. A family's guilt and relief after Sharon was taken away, the house felt strangely quiet, the weight of the situation hanging heavy in the air. Mariah, Faith, and Nick sat together, each lost in their thoughts. None of them had wanted this outcome, but deep down, they knew it was the right decision. "We did what we had to," Nick said softly, breaking the silence. His voice was filled with both sorrow and resolve. "I love Sharon, but she needs help, real help, the kind we can't give her." Faith, still shaken by the events of the evening, nodded. "I know, Dad, but it doesn't make it any easier." Mariah, always the more pragmatic of the group, leaned forward, her voice firm but filled with concern. "Sharon has been on this downward spiral for too long. Maybe now, with the doctors and the police involved, she'll finally get better. We couldn't keep pretending everything was okay." The truth of her words hung in the air. They had done what they could, but Sharon's mental state had deteriorated beyond their control. Now, it was in the hands of professionals. Sharon's time in jail, confronting the darkness. Sharon's time in jail was nothing short of a nightmare. She was isolated, her anger festering, but it wasn't long before the truth of her actions began to sink in. The doctors assigned to her case worked diligently to uncover the root of her behavior, treating her mental illness with both medication and therapy. It was a long, arduous process, but over time, Sharon began to understand the gravity of her actions and the harm she had caused. Though Sharon's initial reaction was one of rage, particularly toward Nick, whom she saw as the ultimate betrayer, there were moments of clarity that began to emerge. The doctors were able to help Sharon see that she had lost control, that her desire for revenge and her obsession with righting perceived wrongs had led her down a dangerous path. While Sharon remained volatile and unpredictable at times, the process of healing had begun. The road ahead would be long, but the hope was that one day she might regain some sense of stability. Why so many characters with mental illness? A writer's choice. The portrayal of mental illness in The Young and the Restless has sparked curiosity and sometimes criticism among fans, particularly when it comes to the number of characters who seem to struggle with psychological disorders. Some viewers wonder if this reflects the mindset of the writers themselves, or if it's simply a narrative choice to inject drama into the storyline. In truth, mental illness is a complex and nuanced topic, and its inclusion in the show can be seen as both a reflection of real-life issues and a tool for storytelling. Soap operas, by their nature, thrive on conflict, tension, and emotional depth. Mental illness provides a way to explore the darker, more challenging aspects of human behavior, giving characters complex motivations and unpredictable actions.